Commander Vextar stood on the bridge of his ship and looked at the blue planet below. Earth hung in space like a jewel, but it was supposed to be dead. His green scales rippled with worry as he checked the scanner readings again. This cannot be right, he said to his crew. The planet looked perfect. Too perfect. Dr. Zelek clicked his insect-like mandibles together. The readings are correct, Commander. The air is clean. The oceans are pure. The forests are growing everywhere. Resonance Prime, whose crystal body sparkled in the ship's lights, spoke in musical tones. Our records say humans destroyed this world 300 years ago. They killed themselves with wars and poison. Vextar had read those same records many times. Every species in the Galactic Consortium knew the story of Earth. Humans had been violent and stupid. They had ruined their own planet and died out. It was a warning tale that parents told their children. But the planet below did not look ruined at all. Take us down, Vextar ordered. We need to see this for ourselves. Their ship descended through Earth's atmosphere. Vextar watched through the windows as they flew over green lands and clear rivers. Where the old records said there should be dead cities, he saw only forests. Where there should be polluted wastelands, he saw grasslands full of life. Look at the wildlife, Dr. Zelek said, pointing at the screen. Herds of animals moved across the plains. Birds flew in huge flocks. The oceans were full of fish and whales. This makes no sense, Vextar muttered. Where did all the humans go? What happened? To their cities? Resonance Prime checked the navigation system. I am detecting some artificial structures. There are ruins beneath the forests. And there are still satellites in orbit, but they appear to be sleeping. The ship landed in a valley surrounded by mountains. Vextar led his team outside to explore. The air smelled clean and fresh. Flowers grew everywhere. It was beautiful, but it made him nervous. Commander, Dr. Zelek called out, I found something. They followed the insect scientist to a hillside covered in vines. Behind the green plants, they could see metal and concrete. It was the remains of a human building, but nature had taken it back. Scan for any technology that still works. Vextar ordered. Dr. Zelek ran his instruments over the ruins. There is something strange here. Deep underground, I am reading power. Sources. They are still active after all these years. Vextar felt his scales tingle with fear. Active? But humans have been gone for 3 centuries. The power is very strong, Dr. Zelek continued. It is coming from inside that mountain. They all looked at the huge mountain that rose behind them. It looked normal, covered in trees and snow at the top. But if Dr. Zelek was right, something was still alive inside it. Far below their feet, in tunnels carved deep into the mountain, ancient machines began to wake up. Lights flickered on in corridors that had been dark for 300 years. Computer screens glowed to life. Fusion reactors that had been running on automatic for centuries started working harder. In the deepest part of the mountain, in a room full of humming computers, a figure appeared. It was made of light and looked like a human man in military uniform. The figure had short black hair and dark eyes. His name tag read Martinez. Sensors detect alien presence on Earth's surface, the figure said to the empty room. Running identification scan. The computers worked fast, checking the aliens against databases that were centuries old. They found matches quickly. Pithran reptilian species. Insectoid species, possibly Zelakian. Crystalline entity of unknown origin. All species are members of the Galactic Consortium. The holographic Colonel Martinez nodded. Cross-referencing. With Protocol Omega parameters. Consortium species are designated as hostile to human interests. They intend to strip Earth of resources following presumed human extinction. Red lights began flashing throughout the mountain facility. Alarms that had been silent for 300 years started beeping. Protocol Omega is now active, Colonel Martinez announced. Initiating planetary defense sequence. Awakening the fleet. On the surface, Vextar and his team had no idea what was happening beneath their feet. They were too busy exploring the ruins and trying to understand how Earth had become so beautiful. "Look at this," Resonance Prime sang, pointing at some markings on a wall. "These symbols are human writing, but they are very old." Dr. Zelik studied the writing with his instruments. It appears to be a date marker. It says this facility was sealed in the year 2547. That was right before humans disappeared, Vextar said. But why would they seal their buildings instead of living in them? None of them could answer that question. They kept exploring, finding more ruins hidden under plants and trees. Each discovery made the mystery deeper. It looked like humans had simply walked away from everything and let nature take over. "Commander," Dr. Zelik said suddenly, "I am reading massive power fluctuations from the mountain. Something big is starting up in there." Before Vextar could respond, their ship's communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect galactic standard, the language all consortium species used to talk to each other. "Attention alien visitors," the voice said calmly. "You are trespassing on sovereign human territory. Identify yourselves immediately." Vextar looked at his team in shock. The voice sounded human, but that was impossible. Humans were extinct. "This is Commander Vextar of the Galactic Consortium survey vessel Starseeker," he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "We are conducting a routine resource evaluation of this system." "Negative, Commander Vextar," the voice replied. "This is not a routine survey. You are here to claim Earth for the Consortium after confirming human extinction. Your true purpose has been logged and evaluated." Dr. Zelik's instruments went crazy, showing energy readings that made no sense. "Commander, something enormous is powering up inside that mountain, and I am detecting similar power signatures all across the planet." A human voice spoke again, and this time it sounded different, colder, more dangerous. "You have made a critical error, Commander. Humans are not extinct. We simply went somewhere else. But we left guardians behind." Vextar tried to contact his ship, but the communication system was not working. When he looked up at the sky, he could see his vessel, but it was not moving. It hung in the air like it was frozen. "Your ship has been disabled," the voice continued. "You will remain on Earth while we decide what to do with you. Consider yourselves prisoners of war." "War!" Vextar shouted. "We are not at war with anyone." "You are now," the voice said simply. "Welcome to Earth, gentlemen. Enjoy your stay." The mountain began to rumble. The rumbling from the mountain grew stronger. Vextar and his team felt the ground shake under their feet. Trees swayed and rocks fell from the mountainside. Whatever was waking up inside was very big. "We need to get back to our ship," Vextar said, but when he looked up, his heart sank. The ship was still frozen in the air, not moving at all. Dr. Zelik's instruments were making crazy noises. "Commander, I am reading massive energy spikes all over the planet, not just here. Everywhere." Resonance Prime's crystal body was glowing, brighter than usual. "I can feel it too. Something ancient is waking up, something that has been sleeping for a very long time." Far away from Earth, on the dark side of the moon, old factories that had been quiet for 300 years suddenly came to life. Huge machines started moving. Assembly lines began working. Robot arms reached for materials that had been waiting in storage. On the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, mining stations that looked dead and empty suddenly turned on their lights. Giant drills started spinning. Refinery systems began melting and shaping metal. Fuel production facilities started making chemicals needed for space travel. near Saturn's moon Titan. Gas collection platforms that had been drifting silent for centuries suddenly fired up their engines. They moved into position and began gathering the gases they needed. Processing plants that looked like ancient ruins started working again. All across the solar system, humanity's old empire was waking up. Back on Earth, Vextar tried again to contact his ship. The communication system made static noises, but then a new voice came through. It was the same calm human voice from before. "Do not be afraid, Commander Vextar. Your ship is safe. We have simply prevented it from leaving. We need to have a conversation." "Who are you?" Vextar demanded. "Humans are extinct. Everyone knows this." "Humans are not extinct," the voice replied. "We simply left this place. But we knew that others would come looking for our world when they thought we were gone. We prepared for visitors like you." Dr. Zelek was studying his readings frantically. "Commander, whatever is happening, it is happening fast. I am detecting new energy signatures appearing all over the solar system. It is like a whole civilization is turning itself back on." The voice spoke again. "Dr. Zelek is correct. Our automated systems are activating. You have triggered Protocol Omega, our planetary defense system." "Protocol Omega?" Resonance Prime asked in musical tones. "A plan we made before we left," the voice explained. "If hostile aliens ever came to claim Earth, our guardians would wake up and defend it." Vextar felt confused and scared. "We are not hostile. We are just explorers. Your ship's computers tell a different story," the voice said. "We have accessed your databases. We know why the consortium sent you here. You were supposed to confirm that humans were gone, then report back so your people could strip our world of its resources." Dr. Zelek looked at Vextar with his big insect eyes. The commander knew it was true. That was exactly why they were here. "Let me tell you what really happened to humanity," the voice continued. 300 years ago, we detected your consortium while you were still many light years away. We learned about your expansion methods, how you take worlds and use up their resources, how you enslave or destroy the species you find. That is not true." Vextar protested, but he knew it was. The consortium had conquered 47 worlds. Some species joined willingly, but many others had been forced. "We decided. We did not want to be part of your empire," the voice went on. "So we did something your species cannot do. We transcended. We moved beyond this physical dimension. But before we left, we prepared our defenses." The ground shook again, harder this time. In the distance, they could see the mountainside splitting open. Huge metal doors were opening, revealing a massive tunnel that went deep underground. "What did you prepare?" Dr. Zelek asked nervously. "We built guardians," the voice said. "Artificial minds based on our greatest military leaders. We gave them ships and weapons and told them to wait. Wait for the day when someone would come to take our world." Vextar watched in amazement as things began emerging from the tunnel. They looked like vehicles, but they were moving without drivers. Robot tanks rolled out of the mountain. Flying machines lifted into the air. All of them were controlled by computer minds that had been waiting for 3 centuries. "You have awakened forces that your consortium cannot imagine," the voice said. "Our technology has had 300 years to improve itself. Our guardians have been learning and building and preparing." Dr. Zelek checked his instruments again. "Commander, I am reading something impossible. There are massive objects moving in space near Jupiter. They are huge, bigger than anything the consortium has ever built. Those are our ships," the voice said simply. "The fleet has been waiting in the outer system. They are crewed by artificial minds that think faster than any biological brain. They know every battle that was ever fought. They have studied every weakness of every consortium species." Vextar tried to stay calm, but fear was growing in his chest. "What do you want from us?" "Right now, we want you to watch," the voice replied. "Your people need to see what happens to those who threaten Earth. They need to understand that this world is still protected." On their ship's main screen, which somehow was still working, even though they could not control anything else, images began appearing. They showed space near Jupiter, where huge shapes were moving against the stars. The shapes were ships, but they were bigger than anything Vexstar had ever seen. They moved in perfect formation, like they were controlled by one mind. Their hulls were black and smooth, and they seemed to bend light around them. "How many ships do you have?" Resonance Prime asked quietly. "More than enough," the voice answered. "We have been building continuously for 300 years. Our automated factories never stopped working. Every day, they made our fleet stronger." Dr. Zelek was staring at his readings in disbelief. "These energy signatures are impossible. No civilization could build technology this advanced." "No biological civilization," the voice corrected. "But we are not biological anymore. Our minds are pure thought, unbound by physical limits. Our guardians, our artificial minds that never get tired, never make mistakes, never give up." The mountain opened wider, and larger machines began emerging. They looked like weapons platforms, but they floated in the air without any visible means of support. Strange energy fields surrounded them. "Your consortium will send ships when you do not report back," the voice said. "They will come here expecting to find a dead world ready for conquest. Instead, they will find something that will change the galaxy forever." Vexstar looked at his team. They were all scared now. Even Resonance Prime's usual musical voice was shaky. "What have we done?" Dr. Zelek whispered. "You have awakened humanity's guardians," the voice said. "And now they are going to remind the galaxy why humans were feared even before we transcended." In space, more ships were appearing near Jupiter. Hundreds of them, then thousands. They moved like a swarm of deadly insects, but each one was larger than the biggest consortium dreadnought. "Welcome to the new age," the voice said. "The age when humanity returns to claim what was always ours." The fleet was awake, and it was ready for war. Admiral Kreckstall of the Nereid fleet received the emergency signal while his ships were exploring a distant star system. The aquatic alien's blue skin turned darker when he read the message. Commander Vexstar's survey mission to Earth had gone silent. "Prepare the battle fleet," Admiral Kreckstall ordered his crew. "We are going to Earth." The Nereid admiral was not worried. His people were warriors of the deep oceans. They had conquered water worlds across 3 star systems. Their ships were fast and deadly. Whatever had happened to the survey team, 200 consortium warships would be more than enough to handle it. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "should we request backup from other consortium fleets?" Kreckstall laughed, water bubbling from his gills. "To fight dead humans? We will handle this ourselves." But Earth was not defended by dead humans anymore. Deep in space near Jupiter, Admiral Lisa Harper stood on the bridge of the U.E.'s Retribution. She was not really standing, of course. Her body had died 300 years ago. Now she existed as pure thought, her consciousness stored in quantum computers that could think 1,000,000 times faster than any biological brain. "Incoming consortium fleet detected," reported Captain Ryan Kelly from his ship, the U.E.S. Vengeance. 200 vessels, moving at maximum speed toward Earth. "Acknowledged," Admiral Harper replied instantly. Her artificial mind processed the tactical data in microseconds. "Commander Beth Stone, take your destroyer group and intercept their scouts. Captain Kelly, prepare your assault squadrons. Show them what 3 centuries of preparation can do." The human ships moved through space like deadly shadows. They had been hiding near Jupiter, for so long that even their own sensors had trouble seeing them. Now they came out of hiding, and space itself seemed to bend around them. Captain Kelly led 12 destroyers toward Mars, where the consortium scouts were advancing. His ships were smaller than the alien vessels, but they moved with impossible precision. Every turn, every acceleration was perfectly calculated by computer minds that never made mistakes. Target acquired, Kelly announced to his squadron. Beginning engagement. The consortium scouts never knew what hit them. One moment they were flying in formation toward Earth. The next moment, beams of pure energy were tearing through their hulls. The human weapons did not just destroy the alien ships. They unmade them, breaking down their matter at the atomic level. What kind of weapons are those? The lead consortium pilot screamed into his radio before his ship disappeared in a flash of light. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes and 17 seconds. 12 consortium scout ships were completely destroyed. Not one human vessel was even scratched. Admiral Krextall received the news when his main fleet was still hours away from Mars. His blue skin turned pale with shock. How is this possible? He demanded. Those ships were our fastest scouts. They had the best shields and armor. Admiral, his sensor officer reported, voice shaking with fear. I am detecting massive energy signatures throughout the solar system. Whatever destroyed our scouts, there are hundreds more just like them. Back on Earth, Vextar and his team watched the battle on their ship screens. The human voice had been showing them everything that happened. Your people just made a terrible mistake, the voice said calmly. Captain Kelly's destroyer group was testing their weapons. The real fleet has not even started fighting yet. Dr. Zelik's instruments were going crazy again. Commander, I am reading energy levels that should not be possible. Whatever technology these humans have, it is beyond anything we understand. The voice spoke again. Let me introduce you to our commanders. Admiral Lisa Harper leads the fleet from the U.S. Retribution. She was our greatest naval strategist before we transcended. Now she has had 300 years to perfect her skills. On the screen, they could see a massive ship unlike anything in consortium records. It was 30 kilometers long and covered in weapons that seemed to bend space around them. Captain Ryan Kelly commands our destroyer squadrons. He specializes in fast strikes and precision warfare. Commander Beth Stone leads our defensive formations. Each of them has the combat experience of 1,000 lifetimes. More ships appeared on the screen. Each one was larger and more advanced than anything the consortium had ever built. They moved in perfect formation, like parts of a single massive organism. How many ships do you have? Vextar asked quietly. Today? About 800 in the immediate area, the voice replied. But our factories have been working for 3 centuries. Every day, we grow stronger. Admiral Krextall's fleet finally arrived at Mars. The Nereid commander had decided to attack with everything he had. 200 ships formed into attack formation and charged toward Earth. All ships, maximum firepower, Admiral Krextall ordered. Whatever these humans have, we will overwhelm them with numbers. Admiral Harper watched the enemy fleet approach. Her artificial mind calculated 1,000 possible strategies in the time it took a biological brain to blink. All units, this is Admiral Harper, she broadcast to the human fleet. Enemy force is 200 ships strong. I want them completely destroyed. No survivors. Make this a lesson the galaxy will never forget. Acknowledged, Admiral, came they. Replies from dozens of ship commanders. Each voice belonged to an AI based on a human military leader from centuries past. They had been waiting for this moment for 300 years. The space battle that followed changed everything. Human ships appeared from everywhere. They had been hiding behind asteroids, cloaked near planets, waiting in the shadows of moons. The consortium fleet found itself surrounded by enemies that moved faster than thought and hit harder than any weapon they had ever seen. Captain Kelly's destroyers struck first, appearing behind the enemy formation and destroying 20 ships. Before the consortium even knew they were there, Commander Stone's defensive group hit them from the side, their weapons turning proud warships into expanding clouds of gas dot. But it was Admiral Harper's flagship that truly showed the galaxy what human technology could do. A U.E.'s Retribution fired a single shot. The beam of energy crossed space in an instant and hit Admiral Krextul's command ship. The ship did not explode. It simply stopped existing. Where there had been a kilometer-long dreadnought, there was now empty space. Impossible. Admiral Krextul gasped from his escape pod. What kind of weapon can do that? The human fleet did not answer. They were too busy destroying the rest of the consortium force. Ships that had conquered dozens of worlds were torn apart like paper. Weapons that could crack planets bounced harmlessly. Off human shields in 23 minutes, it was over. 200 consortium warships had been reduced to debris. Only a few escape pods survived, and that was only because the humans allowed it. Admiral Harper opened a communication channel to the surviving consortium forces. Her voice was calm and cold. "Attention consortium survivors," she said. "You will return to your people and deliver this message. Earth is under human protection. Any force that approaches this system with hostile intent will be destroyed. This is your only warning." On Earth, Vextar stared at the screen in shock. His people's mighty fleet had been destroyed like it was nothing. Ships that had seemed invincible were gone. How? He whispered. 300 years of preparation, the voice replied. While your people conquered worlds and grew fat on their victories, we were learning, building, waiting. We knew this day would come. Dr. Zilek looked at his readings one more time. "Commander, there are more ships out there. Many more." "What?" "We just saw was only a small part of their fleet." "Correct," the voice said. "This was a test. We wanted to see if consortium technology had improved since we left. It has not." Resonance Prime's crystal body was dim with fear. "What happens now?" "Now?" the voice replied. "Now we send a message to the galaxy. Humanity's guardians are awake, and we are not pleased with what we have found. In space, the human fleet regrouped near Earth. More ships were arriving every hour, emerging from hidden bases throughout the solar system. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity's disappearance had not been defeat, that it had been preparation for war. The news of Admiral Krextul's defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. 200 consortium warships destroyed by unknown forces defending a dead world. The few survivors who made it back told stories that no one wanted to believe. Scaleth of the Draconian Empire received the report while sitting on his throne of polished obsidian. The massive reptilian ruler was twice the size of any human, with scales like black armor and eyes that glowed red in the darkness. "Impossible," Emperor Scaleth hissed, his voice like grinding stone. "No extinct species could defeat a consortium fleet." "The survivors all tell the same story, my lord," his advisor said nervously. "Ships that move faster than light, weapons that unmake matter itself, artificial minds that think like gods." Emperor Scaleth stood up, his huge form casting shadows across the throne room. "Then we will show these guardians what real power looks like. Summon the Great Armada." The Great Armada was the most powerful military force in the galaxy. 3,000 ships of war, including planet killers that could turn entire worlds to ash. They had crushed 47 civilizations and made the Draconian Empire, feared across 100 star systems, but they had never faced humanity's guardians. Admiral Harper watched the enemy fleet approaching through sensors that could see across light years. Her artificial mind processed the tactical data instantly. 3,000 ships, led by Emperor Scaleth himself, in the dreadnought Death's Promise. "Impressive," she said to her fellow commanders. "They are bringing everything they have. Should we retreat and gather more forces?" asked Captain Steve Walsh from his battleship UES Thunderstrike. "Negative," Admiral Harper replied. 3 centuries of preparation ends today. All ships, prepare for battle. Show them why humans were feared even before we transcended." The human fleet had grown since the last battle. Hidden shipyards throughout the solar system had been working at maximum speed. Automated factories on the moon pumped out new vessels every hour. What had been 800 ships was now over 2,000. But the real surprise was waiting in the asteroid belt. General Amy Foster commanded the UES Apocalypse, a ship so large it could barely be called a ship at all. 30 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide, it was more like a moving fortress. Its hull was covered in weapons that twisted space and time around them. "All units, this is General Foster," she broadcast to the human fleet. "Enemy force is 30 times larger than our last engagement. I want complete victory. No mercy. Make them understand that Earth is forever beyond their reach." Emperor Scaleth's armada entered the solar system like a swarm of metal locusts. Each ship was a masterpiece of destruction, built to conquer worlds and break civilizations. Their weapons could shatter moons. Their shields could withstand the heat of dying stars. "Advance to engagement range," Emperor Scaleth commanded from his flagship. "Destroy everything. I want this system burned clean." The first shots came from the human side. Captain Walsh's destroyer group appeared behind the enemy formation, moving faster than draconian sensors could track. Their weapons fired beams of pure energy that cut through enemy hulls like they were made of paper. "What kind of technology is this?" Emperor Scaleth roared as he watched 20 of his ships disappear in seconds. The answer came from Commander Helen Price aboard the UES Stormbreaker. Her ship materialized directly in front of the enemy flagship, having traveled through folded space in ways that should have been impossible. "This is Commander Price of the human fleet," she broadcast on all frequencies. "You are trespassing in our territory. Surrender now or be destroyed." Emperor Scaleth laughed, the sound like grinding metal. "You think your few ships can defeat the Great Armada? We have conquered half the galaxy. That was before you met us." Commander Price replied calmly. "The battle that followed rewrote the laws of warfare. Human ships fought as one mind, sharing information instantly across quantum communication networks. When one ship detected an enemy weakness, all ships knew about it immediately. When one AI commander developed a new tactic, every other commander could use it at once. The draconian ships, for all their power, fought like separate units. They had to communicate through radio signals that traveled at the speed of light. By the time one ship warned another about an attack, the human forces had already moved to a completely different position. Captain Kelly's destroyers struck like lightning, appearing behind enemy formations and vanishing before return fire could reach them. Commander Stone's defensive groups absorbed enemy attacks with shields that bent reality around them, then struck back with weapons that turned matter into energy. But it was General Foster's super dreadnought that truly showed the galaxy what human science could achieve. The UES Apocalypse fired a weapon that opened a small hole in space-time itself. The beam reached across millions of kilometers in an instant and touched Emperor Scaleth's flagship, Death's Promise, a ship that had destroyed 100 worlds, simply folded in on itself and disappeared. Where the most powerful warship in the galaxy had been, there was now only empty space. "My lord," screamed the draconian admiral in charge of the second wave. "The Emperor's ship is gone. How is this possible?" General Foster's voice answered him across all communication channels. This is possible because you forgot one important thing about humans. We never stop learning. We never stop improving. And we never forgive those who threaten our home. The battle continued for 6 hours. 3,000 of the galaxy's most advanced warships fought against 2,000 human vessels. The outcome was never in doubt. Draconian planet killers fired weapons that could crack continents, only to watch their beams bounce harmlessly off human shields. Ships that had crushed entire fleets found themselves helpless against enemies that moved through space like ghosts. Captain Tony Martinez led a squadron of human cruisers in a maneuver that no biological mind could have planned. His ships folded, space around themselves, appearing inside the enemy formation, and firing in all directions at once. 50 Draconian battleships were destroyed before they even knew they were under attack. This cannot be happening, a surviving Draconian admiral whispered as he watched his mighty armada being torn apart. No force in the galaxy is this powerful. Admiral Harper's voice reached him across the chaos of battle. You are wrong, Admiral. There is one force this powerful: humanity. We left this galaxy 300 years ago, but we never stopped protecting it. By the end of the battle, only a handful of Draconian ships remained. They limped away from the solar system, carrying news that would change the galaxy forever. The Great Armada, pride of the Draconian Empire, had been completely destroyed. On Earth, Vextar and his team watched the impossible victory in stunned silence. The most powerful military force in known space had been defeated like it was nothing. Your empire is finished, the human voice told them quietly. Word of this defeat will spread. Every species you conquered will remember that there is a power greater than yours. Dr. Zelek looked at his instruments one last time. Commander, I am reading massive energy signatures throughout the galaxy. The humans are not just here. They have guardians everywhere. Correct, the voice replied. We did not just leave Earth 300 years ago. We prepared the entire galaxy for our return. Hidden bases, sleeping fleets, waiting guardians. All of them are waking up now. Resonance Prime's voice was barely a whisper. What do you want from us? We want peace, the voice said simply. Real peace. Not the false peace of conquest and slavery that your consortium brought. We want a galaxy where every species can grow and learn and reach for the stars. On the main screen, they could see the human fleet regrouping near Earth. But now there were more ships arriving. Much more. From every corner of the solar system, human vessels were appearing. The fleet that had just defeated the greatest armada in galactic history was only a small part of humanity's true power. The age of empires is over, the voice announced. The age of freedom has begun. In the depths of space, quantum transmissions carried the news to every corner of the galaxy. Humanity's guardians were awake. The old order was finished, and the galaxy would never be the same again. 6 months after the destruction of the Great Armada, the galaxy was a different place. The Galactic Consortium had collapsed like a house made of cards. Member species either begged for human protection or fled to the far edges of space, hoping the Guardians would not follow them. Emperor Scaleth's empire, once the terror of 40 star systems, had retreated to their homeworlds and hidden behind massive defense fleets. But everyone knew the truth. If humanity's guardians wanted to find them, no hiding place would be safe on Earth. Commander Vextar sat in a comfortable room inside the mountain facility. He was no longer a prisoner. Exactly. The humans had made it clear he could leave any time he wanted. But where would he go? His own people considered him a traitor for surviving when so many others had died. You look troubled, said Colonel Jake Martinez, appearing as a hologram in the doorway. The AI had taken on a more friendly appearance, looking like a middle-aged human officer with kind eyes. My people think I am cursed, Vextar replied sadly. They say anyone who speaks with human ghosts brings bad luck. Colonel Martinez smiled. We are not ghosts, Commander. We are guardians, and we have been watching your people very carefully. Dr. Zelik entered the room, carrying a tablet full of data. The insect scientist had spent months studying human technology and could barely believe what he had learned. Colonel Martinez, Dr. Zelik said excitedly, I have finished analyzing the atmospheric processors you showed me. The efficiency is impossible by our standards. You could turn a dead world into a garden in just 50 years. That is the idea, Colonel Martinez replied. We have been using them to restore worlds damaged by the consortium's mining operations. Would you like to see? The holographic display showed a planet that had once been stripped bare by draconian mining fleets. Now it was covered in green forests and blue oceans. Cities made of crystal and metal rose from the landscape, beautiful and clean. The Kaleri people lived there before the Draconians enslaved them, Colonel Martinez explained. We freed there. World 6 weeks ago. Now they are building a new civilization with our help. Vexstar looked at the images in amazement. You are giving them your technology? Some of it, Colonel Martinez nodded. Enough to make their lives better. Enough, too. Help them reach for the stars on their own. But not enough to threaten other species. This had become humanity's new mission. Captain Tony Martinez, an AI based on a human liberation specialist, led fleets that freed enslaved worlds across the galaxy. His ships would appear without warning, destroy the occupation forces, and offer the freed species a choice. Join the new galactic community or be left, alone to develop in peace. Most chose to join. Resonance Prime sang softly from her corner of the room. The crystalline being had become fascinated by human music and spent hours listening to songs from Earth's past. I still do not understand, she chimed musically. Your people had the power to conquer the galaxy 300 years ago. Why did you leave instead? Colonel Martinez sat down, even though he did not really need to. It was a human gesture that made others more comfortable. Because conquest is not the point, he said simply. Power without wisdom is just destruction. We learned that lesson before we transcended. We decided that true strength comes from protecting others, not ruling them. On the main display, new images appeared. They showed human ships working alongside alien vessels to build space stations and terraform worlds. Former enemies were learning to work together under humanity's guidance. Captain Steve Walsh is leading a joint project with the Aquatic Federation, Colonel Martinez continued. They are building underwater cities that can house both species. Commander Helen Price is teaching the Crystal Collective how to grow there. Technology organically instead of mining it from dead worlds. Dr. Zelik looked up from his tablet. What about the species that refuse to cooperate? What about the Draconians who still raid peaceful worlds? Colonel Martinez's expression became serious. They learned the hard way that the old rules no longer apply. The display changed to show a Draconian raiding fleet attacking a peaceful farming world. The alien ships were in the middle of bombing cities when human vessels appeared out of nowhere. The battle lasted exactly 93 seconds. When it was over, the farming world was safe and the raiders were gone. We do not seek war, Colonel, Martinez said quietly. But we will not allow the strong to prey upon the weak. That age is finished. Across the galaxy, the message was becoming clear. Species that chose peace and cooperation found themselves with powerful allies and incredible technology. Species that chose conquest and slavery found themselves facing guardians who could not be defeated. The results were predictable. Pirates abandoned their ships and asked for honest work. Slave traders freed their captives and begged for mercy. Warlords who had terrorized entire star systems suddenly became very interested in negotiation and peace treaties. There is something else, Colonel Martinez said, his voice taking on a different tone. "Something you should know." The display changed again, showing deep space near the edge of the galaxy. Strange energy patterns were forming there, like tears in the fabric of reality itself. "What are those?" Vextar asked nervously. "Dimensional gates," Colonel Martinez replied. "Our people are coming home." Dr. Zelek's instruments started beeping frantically. "The energy readings are incredible. Whatever is coming through those gates, it is beyond anything we have seen. The Guardians you have met are just artificial copies," Colonel Martinez explained. "Echoes of what we once were. The real humans have been exploring dimensions beyond physical space. They have learned things that would seem like magic to biological minds." Resonance Prime's song became a harmony of wonder and fear. "What will happen when they return?" "They will be pleased with what we have accomplished," Colonel Martinez said with pride. "We have prepared the galaxy for their homecoming. We have ended the age of empires and begun the age of cooperation." The first dimensional gate opened near Pluto, and something emerged that was beyond description. It looked like a ship, but it was made of pure light and energy. It moved through space without engines, powered by forces that existed outside normal reality. More gates opened. More impossible vessels appeared. The humans were returning, and they brought with them knowledge from dimensions that biological minds could barely imagine. Admiral Lisa Harper's voice reached them from her flagship, near Earth. "Incoming transmission from the returning expedition. They are requesting a full report on galactic status." Colonel Martinez smiled. "Tell them the mission is complete. The galaxy is ready for the next phase of human civilization." On the display, they could see human ships throughout the solar system, changing. The returning expedition was sharing new technology, upgrading the Guardians with knowledge gained from 3 centuries of dimensional exploration. "What is the next phase?" Vextar asked quietly. "Teaching," Colonel Martinez replied. "For 300 years, we have been your guardians and protectors. Now we will be your teachers and guides. We will help every species in the galaxy reach their full potential." Dr. Zelek looked at his readings one more time. "The energy signatures are stabilizing. The dimensional gates are becoming permanent." "Good." Colonel Martinez nodded. "That means we are here to stay. The age of humanity has truly begun." Outside, the first real humans in 300 years were walking on Earth's soil again. They looked the same as they always had, but they moved with the confidence of beings who had transcended physical limitations. They carried knowledge that could reshape reality itself, but they also carried the same values that had made them. Leave in the first place. Compassion for the weak. Protection for the innocent. The belief that true strength came from lifting others up, not tearing them down. Commander Vextar stood up and walked to the window. He could see human and alien ships working together in the sky above, former enemies building a better future side by side. "What will you do with us?" he asked. Colonel Martinez joined him at the window. "We will help you become the best version of yourselves, all of you, every species in the galaxy." The age of empires was over. The age of war and conquest had ended. The galaxy belonged to all its children now, protected by guardians who had learned that the greatest victory was not defeating your enemies, but turning them into friends. Humanity had returned, and the stars themselves seemed brighter for it.